Hello and welcome back to the Pitwall Podcast, where this week we're going to be breaking down the Mexican Grand Prix, the 2024 Mexican Grand Prix, and boy, am I excited for this one.
I'm sad. I'm a Red Bull fan. I am very utterly disappointed right now.
Boy, am I excited for this one. Before we get started, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow at the Pitwall Pod, and I'm going to give you a quick quality in 60, but then we got to jump right into it because we got a lot to talk about the downfall that we've all prayed for. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All of us. All right, so Zhou Guan Yu, usual business in P20, Ocon in P19, but the big news was Checo at his home race out in P18. Oscar Piastri also out, but Checo was the bigger story, P17. And Franco Colapinto got kind of screwed up in P16. Valtteri Bottas, P15. Lance Stroll, P14. Alonso finally out-qualified him in 13. Liam Lawson out-qualified both of them, but did not get to go for a final run because Yuki Tsunoda, who crashed in P11, screwed him up. Nico Hulkenberg in 10th. Haas, let's go. Alex Albon in 9th. Good job for Williams. Pierre Gasly at Alpine in 8th. Yep. K-Mag, another Haas in 7th. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell 6-5. Charles Leclerc in 4th. Lando in 3. Max Verstappen in 2. And Carlos Sainz coming out with a slam dunk in 1st. That was 53 seconds. That was very short.
Pretty good.
So, yeah, Yuki crashed, which was a big story.
Yeah.
And let's just jump right into it, right into the race, I think.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about. So I want to talk about Yuki first because I was just talking about him. So Yuki also crashed in the Grand Prix.
Yeah, he did.
And this Yuki has these weekends where all of a sudden something happens. And this was the worst.
It goes off the walls.
This was the worst timing it possibly could have been for him because the eyes of Red Bull were upon both of him and Lawson, and he crashed. Lawson didn't twice. I will say I kind of thought this is like 3 of my drivers on driver's crime here because at the beginning of the race, I want you to mostly break down the whole Lando Max thing, by the way.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the race, Gasly is coming over, and he starts squeezing Alex. Meanwhile, Yuki's trying to get by. He goes by but clips the front wing of Alex Albon, slams into the wall very hard, and also takes out Alex Albon. So 2 people out. Gasly just was fine, didn't get touched.
Yeah.
Almost took out George Russell. That was my big, when I was watching, I was like, no, because I can't go remiss without saying George Russell also crashed in practice this week, and Mercedes' car is just having crashing issues here. Like there's something wrong with the rear end that they know, but they don't want to say or whatever. But they're going to get one of them killed if this keeps happening.
Yeah.
So, it was rough. And they're getting in trouble with they're worried about cost cap. So it's just dogpiling on problems for Mercedes. Yeah. But we're in no fight right now. As I've mentioned many times, we're going to be P4. We cannot get to P3. We can't fall to P5. We're fine. We're as I'm not saying I'm happy with P4.
No,
I'm just saying
course.
We DNF every race for the rest of the season, still going to be P4.
Yeah,
we go 1-2 for the rest of the season, probably still going to be P4. I don't know the math, but all I'm saying is at this point, it's all about, to me, how Lewis finishes out at Mercedes. So, so that's what happened. So Yuki was out, Albon was out, and then Mercedes went into qualifying and did better considering all of the things. So. I don't know where you want to take it from there, but that was a lot of how do you cover the teammates of the people I was just talking about.
Yeah. So we could talk about I guess we could just talk about Lawson now.
Talk about Colapinto first.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So Colapinto got P12. I mean, this kind of ties into Lawson.
Yeah, it's all together.
So Colapinto tried an overtake on Lawson late in the race and hit Lawson and was handed a 10-second penalty post-race. And, I mean, he was in the fault, but
it was not too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't like as bad as who we're going to talk about, who didn't cause a crash but almost did.
Depends.
And then Lawson ended up P16, sadly. But I think it was mainly because of that clash with Colapinto, had to replace his front wing. Also avoided a clash with Checo, who was like freaking
menace of the weekend.
Yeah, seriously. He turned into K-Mag for like a day. And like, and so Checo was mad at him, had issues off track with him as well. And then ended up colliding with Colapinto. Ended up P16. Like, he still looked good though. Like, he's driving like he's trying to like actually win in that car.
Dude, there's just so many things going on right now. So, like, I mean, just to set the stage of what's going on at Red Bull is obviously Checo is under threat of his seat. This is coming into this weekend.
Yeah.
There are rumors that he was going to get fired mid-season. Then there were rumors that some like savior out there, like Mexican benefactor, potentially saved Checo. Even if that's not true, which it seems like it is. It really does. It really seems like it is. But let's just pretend like that's not true. Checo still had a bad run of form recently. Terrible. Not up to snuff. It's amazing he hasn't been fired yet, which is why it seems like maybe. So there's that. Daniel Ricciardo just gets let go, and Lawson comes up, and it seems like Yuki and Lawson are about to duel for a seat, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Logan Sargent also gets fired. Colapinto comes in and is looking like one of the best drivers right now, like in terms of performance relative to their car. And there's all these rumors, which James Vowles confirmed that they're literally talking to VCARB about getting him a seat, which means that there has to be a seat open, right? So what does that mean? Well, they're definitely not going to replace Lawson or Yuki. So that means that Checo is going to lose a seat, right? So while Lawson and Checo have this huge battle, which we'll talk a little more about, Lawson also has a fight with Colapinto. So it's like all of these, like, if you took Red Bull out of this race, this would have been like the most peaceful, like prosperous race ever. But no, it was crazy.
It was insane.
So, and I just got to say, man, I mean, it's hard to sustain a championship team for 8 years. I guess Red Bull can't do it. That's right. So, anyway, I'm going to have to lay into it a little bit because I got to enjoy this. I have to enjoy this. I must enjoy this. It's looking great for Lewis right now. I just got to say, looking great.
It is.
So,
it really is.
Let me talk about Ferrari real fast. Actually, no, let me talk about Bottas. Actually had a pretty good weekend. I would say relative to what his car could actually. He got P14. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, like, but he like was looking pretty strong.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought like as good as he could possibly have. So I mean, he made up a spot.
Yeah. I mean,
whatever.
Joe was P15, so I mean, it's not.
But
it's not too different.
There were some notable drivers behind the two of them. So I'm gonna find every way to make a joke about this.
I'm so happy that you are genuinely.
Well, so yeah, so and again, your drivers. You actually may have some points on me.
What?
You actually may have some points on me this week.
Did I?
3 of my drivers DNF, so surely you had to.
Yeah, true.
So let's say Alonso had a terrible weekend. It was his 400th Grand Prix, kind of. There's a big debate about this because it's not his 400th Grand Prix start. It's his 400th Grand Prix weekend. But what Martin said, I think I agree with. He says if he got in the car and risked his life, it counts. And he's tried it 400 times, whether or not he actually got to start the race.
Yeah.
But in Qatar will be his actual 400th Grand Prix apparently.
Okay.
So anyway, he had a DNF because of brake cooling issue. It was funny because actually like he just missed the pit stop for a second the way they showed it, but I could tell because there weren't that many engineers out there.
Yeah.
But it was still like Alonso missed the pit box. What year is it? So there was that. You want to talk about Stroll real fast?
Yeah, Stroll was P11. Like, so not as bad as I would expect to see his name. I always expect a little P15 from him, but with the DNFs, I'll give him a little saving grace.
Yeah, so
but
he was
actually like a decent weekend. I mean, for Aston, being what they have been,
no points.
Yeah, but still could have been worse. Could have been, Checo.
Yeah. Well, a team that we need to give the credit for, and I wore this shirt for, is Haas, baby. Yeah. Haas delusion is at an all-time mega high right now.
All-time high?
All-time. Because I'm convinced they can get 5th.
Oh,
I'm convinced. 40 points? Dude, that's completely doable. You're telling me Aston's going to score a single more point this season?
So you said they need 40 points.
They need 40 points. Actually, I think they need 41.
So Haas would have to score essentially 10 points.
2 sprint races, though. 2 sprint races.
Okay,
Dude,
how many have they scored in the last 4 races?
They scored like 4 points in this race. I'm just saying it's possible.
No, yes, you are correct. It's possible.
Listen, at the beginning,
it also means that it's possible for Stake to get 40 points in the next 4 races.
these are different things. These are different things.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, they would have to get 41.
Magnussen and Hulkenberg have at least finished in the points.
Yes, dude. I'm just saying. I think it's possible.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, even if they finish 10 points behind Aston Martin, if you had heard at the beginning of the season that Haas was going to finish 10 points behind Aston Martin, you would have been like, "What?" if you had been told at Bahrain that Red Bull was going to be 3rd in the constructors, I told you every time I'm going to come up with it every time. I shouldn't be this smug. My team is in 4th, but I'm just saying. I was saying. I mentioned this to you. We've been on a steady decline. All right.
Yeah.
It was not 1-5. It was 1-3, but kind of 2-3, 4.
At least they were loosening you up for it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like a brutal punch in the face. Yeah. No, this is like at testing of 2022. I was like, yeah, we're not going to win the constructors. Like I already knew.
Yeah.
Like this was like Red Bull coming in with winning 22 races last year and being like, well, gonna be another boring year. Should we even watch? I don't know. Should we quit the podcast? Definitely not. All right. So anyway, before we get to McLaren and Red Bull drama, I was talking about Ferrari real fast.
Yeah.
Ferrari had another fantastic weekend. Sainz just completely destroyed everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Had a beautiful overtake over Max Verstappen after the restart. Never looked back.
Yeah.
They made Leclerc hold up a little bit, I believe, and there's some controversy around that because a lot of people are saying, well, Leclerc should have won because he's still technically in contention. But you can't do that. You can't take away. No one would do this.
Yeah.
No one would do this. So I'm very happy for Carlos Sainz. He seemed very emotional.
Yeah.
I also think it sent the Mexican fans home happy because they seem to really like, I think Spanish speaking, there's something there.
Yeah.
But they were chanting his name, like really happy that he won. So I was like, good for Carlos. He deserves this.
That's true.
Like this is just such a weird situation where one of the best drivers on the grid is losing a good seat because like this is one of the only him or Lewis or Max are the only people that could take Carlos' seat right now.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah.
I don't even think they would take Alonso. In fact, they wouldn't because
they wouldn't.
Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? So it's a terrible, unlucky situation, but I think it'll be temporary, just basically to keep him fresh.
Yeah.
So I mean, who knows? A Red Bull seat could be in his future for all we know.
That's what I was about to say. There's still a chance that he ends up there someday.
There's a lot of things that could happen, man. I mean, he could go and come back if Lewis.
Yeah.
But Lewis is acting like he's going to be around for a long time. He literally said he plans on being around much longer than Fernando, and Fernando has like 50 races ahead of him. So good. Good. He's like, I plan on being here a very long time. Good. 10 championships. Here we go. So I just want one. That's all I want. I just want one more. That's all I want.
You got 7.
I want 8 at Ferrari. It'd be incredible.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, Leclerc nearly died at one point where he went way off the track.
I don't know how he saved it.
Dude, it was impressive. They were laughing about it in the cool down room, and I was like, dude, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Hats off.
Like the way he so what we're talking about is Leclerc nearly spun off track and snaked his car back and forth and somehow got control within 0.5 seconds.
At 160 miles an hour. Yeah. With no tire grip.
Yeah, exactly. With an F1 tire. Insane, dude.
Well, he ended up boxing, getting fastest lap. So, I mean, we've alluded to it enough. Ferrari moved up to P2. I think if I were to put money on it right now, I'd put Ferrari winning the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah.
And that is just a wild 29 points. That's it from them and McLaren. That's it. That's each
Dude, Fred Vasseur.
Fred Vasseur, the man. And also, Zach Brown is keep doing this cute thing where they both keep taking pictures with each other's teams.
Yeah.
At some point, is Zach Brown going to go, wait a minute. This is a problem.
Yeah.
Ferrari is a problem.
Yeah.
And I'll just say it. Controversial take maybe. Probably not. I think the F1 world will be the most happy if Ferrari wins. I think there's a lot of people like me that are tired of McLaren, No one wants Mercedes to win.
Wait, tired of McLaren?
Tired of McLaren.
Like,
There's a lot
how
of
so?
people like me because, like, just the way they're acting. Like, tired of Lando and his shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean,
Making fun of him starting on pole 6 times and only winning one of those races, or leading out of, or he won 2 of them. But you know what I mean.
like holding the lead.
No one wants Red Bull to win other than Red Bull fans. So I'm just saying, by and large, Mercedes fans, half of them are converting to Ferrari fans, or maybe more.
Yeah.
So there's that. So I'm just saying, I think by and large, like 51%.
Knowing
be
that
satisfied.
Red Bull is like 99.8% out of it,
Yeah. Well, I'm just telling
I'm
you.
going to root for Ferrari.
99. I don't know about that. That's if they could. All 3 of them have.
Dude, with just Max alone?
Well,
constructors?
No. Yeah. No, not with just Max alone.
Yeah, man, that's what it's going to be for these last 4 races.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. I was going to ask you about this. So we'll get there in a second.
Yeah.
I think all Mercedes fans are pulling for Ferrari right now. If I had to guess, I cannot think of a Mercedes fan that's pulling for McLaren right now.
Yeah, I won't pull for them until it's final race and like I know like okay they've won by this much. There's no chance.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to come down to the last race more than likely. Because even if Ferrari takes a lead, I mean, they could take a lead in one weekend now if McLaren had double DNF. So which is just crazy. I never would have thought Ferrari could win this year.
Yeah, I agree. This was not on my bingo card like at all. When you like, if you asked me where would Ferrari end up, I'd maybe give them like P3.
Yeah, and Mercedes worse than I thought they would be.
Yeah,
which again, I could complain about it for days, but and let's talk about them real fast.
Yeah.
So they did P4, P5. They had a pretty great battle in the middle of it. Scared me to death constantly because I thought they were both going to crash, but they kept it clean, and that's how racing is supposed to be. Dude, I'm on a roll here with the jokes.
You know what's not rolling?
What?
Lewis Hamilton's car last weekend.
Yeah, it was not. Well, it was spinning. Anyway, I thought it was a pretty good result considering the fact that George crashed, was on the Silverstone spec. Lewis Hamilton's floor had a hole in it from when Kimi Antonelli hit something from, I think, George crashing in or something in FP1. So also, I'm just not convinced that the current spec of the car is even any better. But Lewis said apparently following George for so long that he saw something that he hadn't noticed before, that he can tell the difference between the 2 specs. He's going to take the notes back and all this stuff, which first of all, if that's true, which I, of course, fully believe.
Yeah.
And of course, I also fully believe that they don't listen to Lewis enough. That's just a crazy brain power. He's driving at 216 miles an hour on the straight and going, if we change the setup a little bit, let me just overtake him real fast. I think if we lower the left front axle, I think what kind of brain power is that? So anyway, that's what they're losing for sure. But they haven't been listening to him, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When Ferrari listens to him and gasses them. So anyway, yeah, man. I thought it was a pretty decent weekend for Mercedes. I'm not celebrating. I wore Haas stuff today. But I just think they did the best they possibly could have considering where they were. They've broken curfew twice in a row now, so they used both of their things. So they crash again, a driver's probably not going to start the race.
Yeah.
So dude, it's been a wild time. Also, one more thing, and then we will fully talk about Leclerc. Also cursed in a FIA press conference yesterday, and now he's scared that he has to do community service with Max, which I just find incredibly funny.
That's funny.
So, anyway, without further ado, Red Bull boy, tell me about Red Bull's weekend.
Okay, I'm just gonna start with the easy thing and tell you how Checo miserably performed. And me and you talked about it a little bit. We didn't go into detail, but we talked about if this is potentially Checo's last race. And I initially was like, with the rumors going on, surely after this, yes. And then you said something that they've had hundreds of last chances with Checo that they haven't acted upon. And I don't see this happening now. So I'm going to say he's still going to be here next week.
Well,
but I won't be surprised if they replace him, but I won't be if they don't either.
I want to note we are recording this on Monday before the Brazil Grand Prix. Anything could happen. They could announce it, I think, technically as late as Thursday.
Yeah.
I think is that what the rules are.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have to submit who is their drivers every week. So it could be any minute. I agree with you, and I think they're not going to fire Checo either. I'm like, I even have my doubts about 2025, dude. Like,
Dude, there's no way they're gonna keep him.
Exactly, though. That's the thing. How many times have we said this, dude? He hasn't finished in the top 5 or 6 since Miami. Miami, dude. I went to both races. There were 6 months in between, and homie has had at least the second or third fastest car at any given first, second, or third fastest car at any given time, and he can't finish in the top 6.
No, you're right.
Like, he can't, like, Piastri hasn't always qualified perfectly. Neither have the Mercedes. Neither has Max. But that's a joke.
I mean, with this, I mean, Checo absolutely terrible weekend, like all around. Max had a 20-second penalty, and Checo still finished 11 places behind him as his teammate in a Red Bull. Like,
and talk a little bit more about, like, he had damage. How'd that happen?
Oh, well, that was with what's it called?
Colapinto.
Yeah. Wait,
Lawson.
no. Yeah, I was about to say Lawson. You got the rookies mixed up on me. But yeah, so Checo, I mean, just I don't know. Maybe I think he's good. You know, I mean, he's probably not happy with the situation right now with Red Bull. He probably knows Lawson's going to be his replacement.
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to, like, when he was fighting Lawson, like, he was like, it looked like he was giving it his all, but he was also like acting like we would expect Max to act like.
Yeah.
You know, like, he was trying to push him off track. Like, I mean, it was just, I mean, it's kind of standard, like, Checo when he's angry driving, but
usually when Checo's angry, it, like, kind of turns out well, though. Like, he, like, uses
that's fair, but I feel like at this point, it's like you said, it's kind of desperation more than anger.
Well, see, and I said last week, I was like, there's no way he does worse. I think this is a worse weekend for him.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it was worse than last year's Mexico, because at least he qualified pretty well at Mexico last year and, like, had a chance. Yeah. This was, like, just terrible.
No, the whole weekend he just had zero chance.
Yeah.
I mean, even in FP1, when they posted on Twitter when I wasn't able to watch, I saw it was like P16 and P8 or P7.
Well, that's the thing. Max barely got any running, and he slaps a great qualifying together, like a really impressive qualifying. So, dude, it's just, and then so Lawson eventually overtakes him.
Yes,
and he flips like
flips Checo the bird.
And then I think he had to go to, like, the principal's office.
He did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, he like talked to Horner about it and everything, man.
So, like, do you think this hurts Lawson's chances?
Fighting Checo?
No, like flipping him off, or do you think he's going to just calm him down? Because
no, I mean,
was
Max
reading,
has said, stuff before.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like,
I think he wants someone who wants to fight. Like, that's why, that's why he got rid of Ricardo.
I'm trying to find this.
You
I
know?
don't think I'm going to
find
it. Yeah,
Ricardo never had like a sense of urgency.
Yeah, that's a fair point, man. I don't know, dude. He said, like, he said this is a results-based business and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't know, like, how they could not fire him. Now, again, I do think there is a part of Red Bull as a company that cares way more about the drivers than the constructors. But you're not just going to intentionally lose the constructors. This might be the last time in Red Bull's history that they have a chance to win the constructors. You don't know. You don't.
Yeah.
I
just don't want to think about that.
Oh, trust me, I understand. Like, Mercedes may never win.
Yeah, but next year when you're a Ferrari fan, you're gonna be
okay. Hold on.
Listen, I give you like 3 years, and Lewis is gonna, like, if Lewis does good or something, you're just gonna be like a full Ferrari fan.
No, I'm gonna stay with Mercedes too. I kind of am excited about it because I'm gonna have 3 drivers I really care about. I already kind of care about Leclerc. Like, I always kind of but I'm gonna have.
We're all Leclerc fans.
We're all Leclerc fans. Yeah. But except for my dad.
Fair
enough. Which is funny because he was talking crap about him, and then he ended up winning.
Yeah.
When we were there. He's gonna come on the podcast, by the way.
Leclerc?
No, I'm just kidding. Yes, Charles Leclerc is coming on our podcast.
Heck yeah.
What if he, like, zooms? Oh, hello, Charles. Charles. Where's your dog? Charles. Dude, I'm not gonna become a Ferrari fan. I'm just a Lewis fan.
You say that now. I give you like 2 years.
No, I'm not. I can't.
Of seeing
I'm not
Lewis
leaving my team
in a Ferrari.
No, I'm not saying I'm not gonna wear some merch from time.
No,
to time.
I'm saying you're gonna start rooting for Ferrari more than you would Mercedes.
I don't think so.
You're telling me if Mercedes and Ferrari were in a let's say Lewis against George in a drivers' championship battle.
Oh well, yeah, I would pull for Lewis, but in a constructors, I want Mercedes to win.
No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what.
Okay.
No matter what. Okay, I'll put one caveat on it, just one.
Yeah.
This is the only time I would root for if Ferrari does not win constructors this year.
Yeah.
I want Lewis to bring them back and win constructors for them.
Okay.
And both. I want him to
Just
win
get like one year.
Just to like crown him as like the all-time. He brought this team back. He won for McLaren and Mercedes and Ferrari, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But just so that's the one caveat. But if they win this year, that's screwed up anyway.
Yeah.
Because he won't bring them back because they'll just have been back. So, yeah, that's my logic. So I will revert when Lewis retires, assuming he retires from Ferrari. I will then revert back to full Mercedes.
Okay.
But I will reminisce about watching him win 3 more championships.
Yeah.
So
3.
I said 10 earlier. So
Yeah, that's very good.
Anyway, so Checo, disastrous weekend. I agree with you. I think they're going to keep him, and I think there's no reason to not get rid of him.
Yeah.
Just bring Lawson up. What's the worst case scenario? He doesn't win.
Yeah.
He doesn't score a point.
I guarantee you he would finish better than Perez would the rest of the year.
He was going to qualify in the top 10 easily if Yuki hadn't crashed. Yeah. Like, what's the worst that could happen? He crashes. I mean, like, what's the worst? There's no bad news here.
Yeah.
What's the worst case scenario? He crashes so much that they blow the cost cap like they did already, and they would have lost, and they lose 100 points in the constructors.
Yeah.
Guess what? They're still beating Mercedes. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It does not. They have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And they didn't even take that many points. They took no points away from them when they so it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, even if they decided to do something crazy, and they he crashes every single race. Well, guess what? No difference.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think Red Bull's conceding if they get rid of Checo. I'm not saying that's what they're deciding. I'm not saying they're all sitting around going, you know what, we've lost, boys, and that's it. But I'm just saying they're fully giving up. So,
to pan over to Max, I mean,
quite the race.
I mean, he had an amazing weekend. Like, other than the freaking race. And
what do you mean he had an amazing weekend? I would say he performed great in qualifying, but in P1 and P2 he had engine trouble.
I'm not talking about that.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Talking about qualifying.
All right, so for 30
for
minutes.
For what matters, he did well.
Yeah, okay.
So qualifying, I will just say that had an amazing qualifying. Showed out a lot more than I thought he would.
Agreed.
But it was all put to shame by his driving.
He took the lead in the first corner.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
So, I mean, the start was great, but then he started fighting Lando Norris, and what happened was they were close, they were fighting, and Lando could have gotten around him, and probably would have if Max didn't drive the way he did, but Max shoved him off the track completely twice.
Yeah, he did it, then he rejoined, and then Max did it again worse.
Yeah, pushed him off even worse. So was handed a 20-second penalty, took that early in the race, and then just couldn't do anything.
And then they put his freaking mug shot up on the screen. And I was like, is this happening? Like, I took a picture during the race of after he took his pit stop and Red Bull was 16-17. And I was like,
I know.
I just took a deep breath and I was like, my pain is over.
But ended up finishing P6.
Pretty well.
A lot better than his teammate.
Notice he could do all of that and still finish in the top 6, unlike Checo since Miami.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really Checo is dead to me at this point.
Lando somehow pulled what he did out.
Finished
After
P2,
he finished P2 and somehow did that after being shoved off track twice, and I'm surprised he didn't get damaged from the freaking.
I gotta say, man, I mean, I don't hate the player, I hate the game on this one for Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
I don't, but I almost respect the strategy a little bit. I don't respect how he fought Lewis in 2021, but there's a key difference, which is that they were fighting pretty equally.
Yeah.
Max is trying to keep a win. And you know what?
Yeah.
He's like, if I get the penalties, whatever.
But if Norris doesn't finish either.
He prevented, crashing is good for Max.
Yeah.
And he prevented Lando from having a shot at winning.
Yeah.
Surely he lost. He finished 4.7 seconds behind Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
You're telling me that whole debacle of him going off through the grass did not cost him 5 seconds?
Definitely cost him 5 seconds.
100%.
Yeah.
So
because he rejoined,
and then he got,
and then he had to give them back to.
Could have been 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Could have been 15 seconds.
Yeah, for sure.
Seriously. So I think there was some strategy.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's hilarious to me, and I agree with all the Mercedes fans' points here, is everybody's like, why are we all upset about this now? Like, what about Brazil 2021 is what everybody's talking about. And again, there are some key differences. First of all, Max was ahead of the Apex in Brazil 2021. Also, dude, Rocket Power freaking destroyed Lando Norris in his latest video.
Really?
And I want to mention it. He pointed out about halfway through the video, he pointed out every single time that Max and Lewis were finished the race within a second of each other or like a couple seconds.
Yeah.
And then there would be like a 40-second gap to third. And they were like, this is the relentless dominance that you have to win a championship. And Lando does not have that. Does not have that. So, yeah, I think the drivers is completely over.
Yeah.
I mean, barring something crazy, but this was about as crazy as it could get, and Max still finished.
Yeah.
Like, and yes, he made up what it was, 10 points or something like that.
Yeah.
But who cares? Like, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, Norris needs 12 points more on average every race than Verstappen.
Yes, so Max is going to clinch before the last race, I think. Because if he goes in greater than 25 points, into the last race, Max will clinch, because even if it's 26, if they tie, assuming Lando doesn't win the next 4 races straight, which he won't, I don't think, then Max would win the tiebreaker. So, so I would say Max is going to win, but which is crazy thing is that Max is going to win and Ferrari's going to maybe win, and McLaren's just going to be should be ashamed of themselves. So. And then you also didn't mention Piastri. So,
Tell me
about Piastri, and then we're done.
I was shocked this weekend from Piastri. It's not like it was terrible, but like this wasn't like the normal Piastri we were seeing. He finished P8.
It's a bad
and
time.
like just overall like had just I don't know, just an awkward weekend.
He lost to K-Mag.
Yeah. Like, and props to Haas and all that, but like that's just not normal for Piastri. Like it's like I don't know. Maybe it's just this track, I mean, but
McLaren's got to come back with a vengeance here if they want to hold on to this thing.
Yeah,
because it seems like Leclerc and Sainz are firing on more than all cylinders right now. So.
I mean, we'll talk about it more in our prediction videos that's going to come out soon, but Ferrari is like looking strong, man.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say about the Max battle is I actually think that the first of his 2 penalties should have been a 5-second penalty to match what happened to Lando last weekend.
Oh yeah,
but the second should be 10 for like driving standards.
No, yeah, the second one was way worse.
But I think they're kind of trying to pull what they did to K-Mag earlier in the season, like make a statement, like this is not okay.
Yeah,
like you cannot do this. But Max is not going to care. He's going to do it again.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think he's going to ever intentionally crash Lando, but he's going to get as close to it as possible, and Brazil has a much more higher likelihood of a crash. So we'll see. So winner and loser, go ahead.
Loser is going to be Checo for me, just being a Red Bull fan. I hate it.
Yeah.
My winner is going to be Haas.
Yeah.
Because I mean, dude, if you had asked me a week ago where would Magnussen end up, I would say P16.
Beat Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
With no seat.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get the Sauber seat.
Hold it up.
My winner, I'll give it to Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally won, but also I just felt like emotionally, it was just a really like clean, good vibes victory.
Yeah. I mean, this race, watching him drive, I like felt like there was no way he was losing.
Yeah, me neither. Even if Leclerc held up a little bit, I don't think he never had to defend. Like he was
like this was his race from the time he got in the lead.
His overtake over Max was awesome.
Oh yeah,
like, it was very awesome, very clean. So
it was.
Loser, man, I'm just gonna give it to the Red Bull company as a whole. Everybody involved, including Colapinto, who I do think is getting in the
will be there. You think?
Yeah, I'm giving all 5, 4.5 Red Bull drivers. You can guess which one is the half.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give them all a big loss. Honestly, except for Max. I'm gonna take him out of that. I just spit everywhere. I'm taking Max out of it because I actually think Max did exactly what he needed to do.
Yeah.
Even though, again, it annoys me, but hate the game, not the player. So as a Lewis Hamilton fan who's still very scarred.
Yeah.
That's it. Thanks for watching at the Pitwall Pod. Follow us, all the good stuff, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.